So, Brian, I think we've had this discussion before, right? I have an accounting degree. I have an MBA. I was an accountant. I was a sales guy paid on commission. And so, I understand the economy and making money. But something that I will admit to not figuring out until I was 30, maybe even 31, is something that I think most people haven't figured out yet. And that is how to grow money.
Mm.
Now, I haven't given you a lot of context where I want to take this, but let me just leave this with you. When I talk about growing money, how does that hit you? What do you think about first?
Leverage.
Okay.
That's like the first thing that comes to mind is I got this rule that me and my money don't hang out in the same place.
Oh,
We're partners, right?
sure.
And so just like a good marriage, just like any other good partnership, you need to be able to leverage everybody in that partnership, money being no different. And so if you can't leverage and have your money working in a different place than you're working, then your money's probably not working hard enough.
I love that. I love that. One of the things when I think about this and the more and more people we help is it's sexy to talk about growing money. It's sexy to talk about being a millionaire. It's sexy to do this or that. But there's a step one or step zero, depending on how you want to count it, that nobody talks about. And that is you need to increase your discretionary, AKA disposable income.
Yes, sir.
So you have seeds that you could freaking plant and water. If you got nothing falling to the bottom freaking line, you ain't got no seeds. What the hell are we doing, folks? That is mind-boggling to me that we don't have those discussions.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I got 3 different classes, right? And I think they're probably more universal than just being me, but I do have 3 distinctive definitions of these classes, right? So the poor go to work, pay bills. They think the whole purpose of money is legitimately to go to work, make enough to pay bills, right?
Yeah.
The middle class believe that the purpose of money is to go to work, pay bills, but then to also have credit to where they can spend money in advance of actually physically having it, right? There's the other side of the middle class that believe the purpose of money is to become debt-free, right? But I would argue that debt-free is not financially free because you still got other stuff you can pay for, right? And then the rich and the wealthy believe that the only purpose of money is to make money, to then use that money to create income, to then pay for lifestyle.
Exactly.
And that's the conversation nobody's having, Mike. Is just to echo
Exactly. That is, folks, if you want to be rich, you want to be wealthy, you want to flex, you want to do all this freaking crap that you see on social media, look yourself in the mirror and own your discretionary income, your disposable income, because it sucks. If you got no money falling to the bottom line that you could light on fire and not change your life, you ain't there. That is something that at 31 years old, I woke up to. And I'm like, okay, I can, we put a little bit of money away, had a little bit of success in the stock market. I can buy a house with a loan. But I got nothing left, man. I'm broke. I'm cash broke. And dude, I'm making 6 figures and so's my wife.
Mm-hmm.
That's terrible. So for the next 18, it might have been 24 months, we go on a religious experience to whack frivolous expenses.
Mm-hmm.
We go down to 50%. All that money falling to the bottom line allows us to plant seeds and grow, plant seeds and grow. And oh, by the way, if you do that long enough, them seeds can be some big ass trees.
Yeah.
But it all starts with the seed. We're not talking about the seed. We're flexing social media nonsense, buying crazy whips and watches and purses and shoes. Doesn't matter. Go get some disposable or discretionary income, man. Let's go.
This is an area near and dear to me too, Mike. Growing up in Detroit, in the inner city, like you grow up in a culture that's really consumer driven, and more importantly, like you wear your status or you show your right. And so it wasn't until I moved away from there at 27 I probably didn't figure that out until maybe 30, about 31, about the same age where I got totally out of that environment, started getting around different people, started taking on different ideologies, breaking down these bad constructs that hadn't been serving me my whole life. And just had a totally different outlook. And it's so liberating when you take back control. And although you may be a little constricted on lifestyle, but you start seeing that you got money that you can go point to and look at and deploy, it's nothing more refreshing than that, right? Like even now, having the money, I still don't make certain purchases just because I would much rather do the other thing, you know.
Yeah.
And until you can, and going back to the beginning of the conversation, I believe, Mike, that in order to really grow money, it's got to be a change in mindset for many people.
Exactly. That's where I was hoping this would go, is growing money is a mindset. And it's the same for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're Grant Cardone or Brian Adamson or Mike Zuber, right? It doesn't matter. In order to get wealthy, you have to have money working for you. But in order to have the money first, you have to have a disposable income. So I just want people to realize, lots of you know how much money you make a year. Lots of people know how much money they make an hour. Lots of you know what your expenses are: rent, mortgage, car, insurance, gas, entertainment, food, blah, 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 blah. Until you know how much disposable or discretionary income you have, that every dollar that falls there is a seed. And that seed can be planted to produce more seeds.
Mm.
So focus on growing. Like for 2024, most of you should look to 10x your disposable income, because the more seeds that rain down, the more chances you could take, the more investments you can take. And then if you do that for a decade, like Olivia and I did, there's a lot of plants, man. There's a lot of plants.
For sure. One of the worst things you could do is eat your seed. Right.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I was there. I couldn't understand for years, decades, how same is true. Myself, my wife, we making so much money, but we're still essentially living paycheck to paycheck. And it was because we were eating our seed. It wasn't that we didn't have money left over. It was how we chose to use it. And I bet if I had to venture a guess, that's probably 70% of people out there, Mike. Like when I make the distinction between poor, middle class, and rich, there's people that make $500,000 bucks, $1 million a year that would be middle class at best based on their money behavior. And until you fix that piece, then you're never going to make enough money. Money don't fix money problems. Change behavior fix money problems.
Yeah, money doesn't fix money. And I live in the Silicon Valley. I worked in enterprise software tech companies for the last 15 years. My peers on average made 300 grand a year.
Okay.
More like 90% of them
Mm-hmm.
would be poor or middle class in your scenario. It is shocking how many people were waiting for their yearly stock grants just to get some freedom. And we've had a good run the last 12 to 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
We get a hiccup or a recession, there's a lot of pain, a lot of lifestyle creep. And yeah, just because you have a good income doesn't mean anything. In fact, now that I've had this channel for 5 years,
mm-hmm.
I would tell you there are this is going to be counterintuitive to most people, but of the thousands of people I've interacted with, I would say the percentage of people that make below 80 grand are rich in your scenario, because they have the habit, the discipline, they know what they're doing. They haven't taken their lifestyle to match their income. When you work in the Silicon Valley, you get that engineering, computer science, or sales job, you have your first big year, everybody buys the new car, everybody gets the vacation home, everybody does a $50,000 vacation. It's lighting it on fire. It is crazy to me how many people making 6 figures a year in the Silicon Valley aren't becoming financially free. It's shocking and disappointing.
I mean, and even with cost of living being as high as it is, I'm sure there should still be some margin making 300 grand, right?
Oh, there should be. Absolutely.
Okay.
They're just, because again, you go buy the Tesla, then you buy the second Tesla, then you have your kid's first car is a Tesla. I mean, really? I mean, this is what we're doing these days? It's crazy.
It sounds like that'd be the one time you call Dave Ramsey for some help.
Yeah, hey Dave, you need to talk to some people over here because they're wilding out, man. There's crazy stuff happening in the Silicon Valley. So at the end of the day, folks, if you want to grow money, you have to have the seeds first.
Yeah. But I'm gonna tell you, Mike, if people, and I know you said it a couple of times, and I don't know if we have time for you to cover it. But your scenario where you teach people to look at the cost of their time,
yes,
when they make those purchases, I promise you, if people could just subscribe to that ideology and methodology that you share, I promise you they'll spend their money totally different, especially going into this holiday season. Like they would took it that totally. Most people are going to make bad purchases over the next 60 days. That's going to cost them a year of their life next year to pay it back.
So we'll give you the example. Let's assume you're going to spend $2,000 on Christmas or holidays or whatever you want to call it this year, right? And let's assume you make 50 or 100 grand a year, 80 grand after taxes. You have, I don't know what is, so let's say 72. So that's 6 grand a year in net income to the household. You spend 2 grand on rent. You spend 2 grand on something else. You spend 1,500 on this, 300 on that. You're left with $200 of disposable income. So when you spend 2 grand on Christmas, which is completely disposable, and you're making $200 a month, and extra money, you divide 2,000 by 200, that's 10 months. So instead of spending $2,000 a month or $2,000 on Christmas, you're actually signing up to spend 10 months of your life paying for Christmas. Yeah, that's not good. That's bad. Not good.
That's insane. And that's provided no other hiccups come up.
Yeah, no other hiccups. No, that's right. 10 months of nothing else. Just paying, and that's assuming zero interest. Anybody think they're getting zero interest on credit cards these days? Come on, let's be real. Man. So at the end of the day, folks, take your disposable income, create an hourly amount, divide that hourly amount by your purchases, and ask yourself, is it worth 10 months of my life? Maybe it is. I won't judge. If you do the math and you say it's worth 10 months, go nuts. Most of the time, it's not worth it. Brian, where can people find you?
Brian Adamson Official on YouTube, Instagram, and everywhere else.
There you go, man. Thank you very much.
All right, bro. Thank you.